Well, hi everyone. It's the first Unapologetics of the new year, and since a comet has not impacted planet Earth, causing a dust cloud that blocks out the sun, killing all life underneath, I'd say we're winning so far. Welcome to Unapologetics. I'm Aaron. All right, so this past week on Wednesday, we saw a violent protest with, I believe, 4 people dead. People died in the Capitol as they charged violence. And that got me to thinking. That got me to thinking about violence and the Christian response to violence, or the Christian view of violence. And I know there's a lot of different ways of thinking about this. Let me give you one view. Over the last 12 months, it seems like we've had a lot of violence, a lot of people seeking to accomplish their good through the ways of violence. And I'm going to say to you that unequivocally, I believe no good ever comes through the use of evil. No good ever comes through the use of evil. You just can't get there. It's like trying to wash yourself with mud. It just doesn't work because the evil always pulls the good down into itself. You can never accomplish good with the tools of evil. And to inform my thinking, I'd like to share with you this book, Walter Wink's Jesus and Nonviolence, A Third Way. Okay, it's just a little pamphlet, Walter Wink, Jesus and Nonviolence, and he gives us some great examples of how nonviolence brings about better ends than violence, with revolutions in the last century. And all this is from the last century. India, over 300 million people with Gandhi, over 30 years, liberated themselves from the Brits and lost only 8,000 people. 8,000? You know, listen, they liberated a country of over 300 million with only 8,000 casualties, and the Brits had none. Okay? In the same token, Algeria in Africa liberated itself from the French violently and lost 10% of their population. 1 million people died in that war. So imagine 1/10 of all of our population just dying in a war. That's brutal. Poland, last century, liberated itself from its communist government with only 300 lives lost. In the same way, Hungary tried to free itself from the Soviet Union violently, and 5,000 to 6,000 people were killed. 40,000 people were imprisoned, tortured, and held. Czechoslovakia did it non-violently, and only 70 people were killed, and the prisoners, the political prisoners, were set free. Okay, we could go on and on here about armed resistance. Just the cost is so huge. Violence begets violence. Evil begets evil. And so this is the Jesus way, I'm going to say to you. This is the Jesus way. Never use evil to try to accomplish good. And the biggest example I can give to you is Jesus, our Christ, our Messiah, who was being murdered on the cross and yet did not violently revolt himself. Actually took that violence, and to use N.T. Wright's words, let the storm of evil and death blow itself out on him so that he might defeat it. You and I, we can never see the defeat of evil in our own heart, in our wider areas. If we participate in evil to bring good, it just continues evil. It's like putting mercury in your hand and smashing it. It doesn't destroy it, it scatters it. Don't play with mercury. So Jesus here, giving to us this third way of creatively resisting evil, creatively resisting violence, creatively resisting oppression. Jesus and the turn your other cheek. Now, I could talk, maybe I'll talk about this in just another video coming up. That's not to be milk toast and get taken advantage of. That turn your other cheek is about standing up, throwing your shoulders back, and being the equal to the person who's hitting you. Jesus is about dignity and creative life, life abundant, life to the full. And that's what we as Christ followers are to be about. We're to be the kind of person that promotes life, promotes dignity, frees from oppression, frees people from violence, and all of those other things. We are to stand with our Christ, planting flags where evil is. Now that means we may take that evil, that violence into our bodies sometimes. I don't want to hear that, but it's true. Sometimes we're going to be like Tank Man, Tiananmen Square in China. Remember? He went to get groceries, had groceries in his hands, and he stood in front of the tanks coming to Tiananmen Square to do a massacre. Sometimes you're going to be the one standing in front of the tank. Sometimes I may be. Sometimes we may suffer for our beliefs. But in doing so, we defeat evil rather than participate in evil. And so today, as our country scratches its chin, wondering where did we go wrong, we need to hear again the call of Jesus, who says, take up your cross and follow me. Greater love has no one than this, that they would lay down their lives for their friend. Pray for those who hate you. Love those who persecute you. Be with those. Forgive people. 70 times 7, those who sin against you. Because in this way, we defeat evil with our Christ rather than spreading it as we're so wont to do. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.